question of the AM alternative. Now, when the ground is parched and we desperately need water, what do? Think about having a rain dance? No, you book an item on the program about dowsing, and the heavens open and the rain falls. But not enough, obviously. We need to restore the sort of water levels to their average point. We need it to rain non-stop for about 6 months, I reckon. Could dowsing be the answer? We'll talk to one of Britain's leading dowsers, Roy Talbot, after this from Bruce Springsteen. BBC Radio 5, Bruce Springsteen and Human Touch. A ticket to see Bruce Springsteen at Wembley is as rare as fresh water at the moment. But in France, though, they haven't got any Bruce Springsteen tickets at all. But the 264 inhabitants of the Burgundy village of Montiau, not far from Dijon, have a new hero. He's a retired policeman called Jean Demey. A water diviner, he's detected a natural reservoir 300 feet below the ground. A festival is to be held in his honor, and a special medal will be struck. Thankful villagers believe that if this great European drought continues, as it has done over the past 5 years, Montiau will be one of the last areas where drinking water will not be a luxury. Well, we're going to have a festival and strike a medal for Roy Talbot. He's a member of the British Society of Dowsers, and his clients include the Yorkshire Water Board and naturalist David Bellamy. And he joins us now from our studio in Stafford. Roy, good morning to you.
Good morning.
How long have you been dowsing?
About 30 years, I think.
And did your father do it before you, or?
Oh, no. I read about it in a science fiction magazine, and my first reaction was, that is the biggest load of old boots I've ever heard. And I tried it, and it worked.
But, I mean, how did you try it? Where did you get the magic forked stick from?
Well, it's not true that it's magic. 90% of the people in the country can douse. It's a bit like blending whiskey. If I asked you, could you blend whiskey, the answer would probably be yes, but I don't know how much of a mess I'd make of it. Well, people can douse themselves, but it's interpreting the signs that takes the practice. So I tried it with a couple of metal coat hangers bent into L-shaped rods and walked over what I knew was a drain, and they deflected. I took it on from there and worked at it and persevered. I suppose I was a bit single-minded, if you like. It's a polite way of putting it, but nevertheless. And I've developed it until I can tell and give a driller a location, depth, purity, quantity, and some idea of the strata that he's going to go through.
Are you still using bent coat hangers? I thought you had to use a birch twig.
No, I'm still using bent coat hangers. They're a bit more sophisticated than that. In fact, they're quite straight now. They're shaped in an L shape, and they are about 3/16 thick. Fencing wire will do fine.
Now, dowsing's been practiced since the 16th century.
Yes.
If it does work, why doesn't it have more respect than it does?
You know, that's a very good question, and mainly because dowsers themselves they've provided their own bed of nails. They've decided that they are going to operate this or represent it as being an esoteric art that only a few people have the magic gift over, and that's completely wrong. It's a natural ability that's available to anybody. Now, if you have a number of people who are concentrating on putting it over as something only they can do, they can't really expect anything other than to be viewed with skepticism.
But presumably you need a certain degree of sensitivity. Is it to do with changes in electromagnetic signals by...
No, I'm not going to confuse things by saying that you can douse over a map in exactly the same way. So it's not electromagnetic energy. In fact, we don't know the scientific basis for it, but it is a science, and it does work like a science. And if you approach it scientifically, the end result is scientifically provable.
Now, what about some of your great successes?
Well, yes, but I've had one or two failures as well, which anybody would have. I work on about an 85% hit rate, and that allows for driller's errors as well, because a drill's got to be placed correctly and it's got to drill absolutely vertically. If that's not done, then the narrow band fissure or the narrow band aquifer that you're looking for, you'll miss 40 feet down, 1 degree off vertical, and that's the dowser's fault if there's no water.
Are you allowed to talk about your clients? I mean, what have you done for David Bellamy?
Well, I'm one stage removed from David Bellamy, because the driller, in fact, was looking for water to pump up, extract the heat from it, and replace. So he was looking for a small amount of water out of which you could take the heat for a heat pump. And this particular driller drilled in 3 or 4 places and was unsuccessful. I was able to tell him where to move to in order to get the success he needed.
Now, this retired policeman in France, who's delighted his local village, has
Yes.
detected this natural reservoir 300 feet below ground.
That's no problem. The depth is no problem at all. My proven depth, and I don't expect you to believe this because I find it difficult to believe myself, my proven depth is 6,000 feet. Now, it's no use my going along to a farmer or somebody wants some water and saying, you've got water 3,500 feet down. He would dismiss me in no uncertain terms. So I cut off at different levels. And if I'm not looking for water at any more than, say, 50 feet or 100 feet or 200 feet, then that's the level I set. These parameters can be set by the individual quite easily and quite specifically.
Now, listen, we can all make jokes about dowsers, but seriously, shouldn't all the water companies be employing dowsers now? Is there a possibility there are hidden springs and reservoirs that we don't know about?
Undoubtedly. There are, I think, I'm not sure about this, but I think it's 7/9 of the water in the land runs underground. And you can detect underground flows of water to a large degree by the work that you do on the surface.